Hey, welcome back to Daily Flash. I'm Mitch English. Get this, by the year 2034, there will be no more 9-to-5 jobs due to the gig economy and AI. Who said that? LinkedIn co-founder Reid Hoffman. And if you're in denial, just listen to this. AI has actually reached a point where you can create a deep dive discussion podcast using two AI hosts that are so real, you might actually be looking at one right now. I'm real, trust me. I would look much better if I was an AI. Anna Altchek, she is the trending business and tech reporter for Business Insider, here to talk about this new AI tool. It's amazing, Anna. I think when I hear it, this podcast, the example that they had, it sounds so real. When I see it, you can kind of tell. But what has really inspired Google to develop the Notebook LM and to integrate AI-powered audio overviews into their platform?
Yeah, so it's definitely a really cool tool. Google said in its original blog post introducing audio overviews that Notebook LM is really built to help you break down complex information. And it does that by giving you various formats like study guides, briefing documents, summarizations. And then the audio overview is just one more way to do that. And then, when I was doing my reporting for Business Insider on this, I spoke with Notebook LM's product lead, Riza Martin, and she was talking about how this personalized AI generation is a really important aspect of it. So that's the idea that you can kind of curate the kind of content you want and kind of steer these AI models to fit a particular context. And now with the recent update from last week, you can even do that even more. You can now add custom instructions to these audio overviews. So basically giving you the ability to find an interesting topic and then create content around that.
Well, how do you see this or envision it actually changing the way that we consume our podcast content?
Yeah, so I think it's already kind of changed the way we're looking at podcasts. So originally you would, listen to a podcast to get information, and you can still do that, but now you can kind of find your own information that you're interested in and then create a podcast about that on demand. So it's that on-demand iteration of a podcast. And then secondly, not only can you still get information from a podcast, but I think something really interesting about this is you can now use that podcast to help relay information. So an interesting part of my conversation with Riza Martin, as I mentioned previously, is that, she said that she now has Google colleagues who are actually who are uploading their own decks, and then they're creating the audio overview. And they're listening to how the hosts are talking about different topics and introducing new points. And then they're using that for presentation. So this idea that you can now use podcasts to help inspire the way you present information, I think that's new. And I think that's a really interesting new way that hasn't been unlocked by podcasts.
We found
before.
a podcast that actually uses that AI. We want to see if people could tell the difference. Watch this.
Ever find yourself wishing you had an extra pair of hands? Or maybe like a super smart research assistant who could just whip through information for you?
Yeah, actually, that's something I think about a lot.
Well, today we are diving into Google's Notebook LM. It's an AI tool, and it kind of sounds like it could be that research assistant we dream of.
I'm intrigued. An AI research assistant? What does it even mean?
All right, well, in what ways do you actually see Notebook LM benefiting, say, the podcaster creators and the listeners, especially like maybe in the terms of accessibility and content discovery?
Yeah, so I think people who are audio learners, podcast enthusiasts, this will be a new way for them to listen to content, more regularly. Use it as a study guide, use it as prep for a meeting, whatever it is. But I also see this benefiting creators as well. Like I said, I think that they can use it as inspiration for how they script their content. But I really think that when we listen to podcasts on our own, when we're going to different shows and listening to them, it's not necessarily competing with what this product is offering. We still have influencers or podcast hosts that we like to listen to, and this is more so.
100%. It's going to change everything. And I appreciate you, Anna, reporting on this. And if you want more information about AI and the industry, it'll really just take over. Head over to businessinsider.com to check that out.